No, salami, then a layer of mustard, and then the turkey. Dijon. Not too much, though. I have a sensitive palate. What? I'm on? Right now? What? Why didn't you tell me? Oh, okay. Can I get a little intro music? Good day, world. This is Buck Denver bringing you the world's most important book, the Bible. Where should we start?
Start in the middle.
More like 2/3 of the way through.
Let's start at the beginning. That's a very nice place to start.
All right, what's at the beginning of the Bible? I, don't seem to have one right around here. Anyone else?
I got my guitar.
I have one around here somewhere.
Do they even have a script?
I think they're winging it.
Wait, I've got it. I've got it right here.
Oh, good job, Ian. What's at the beginning?
Let's see. The Bible begins with the table of contents.
No, after that.
What? We don't want to skip it. It might be important.
You know, I think Ian might have a point there.
I might.
You're kidding me.
Before we jump into the first book of the Bible, wouldn't it be good to know how the whole Bible is put together? You know, the big picture?
I have a big picture of Conway Twitty in my bunkhouse.
I don't think that's what he means.
No, I mean, how is the library organized? How does one story, the story of God and what He's done for us, play out across so many different books? Sunday school lady?
You've come to the right place, Buck. I've been explaining the Bible since the Old Testament was new. Not exactly, but you get my point. I was kidding. I'm not that old. I'm not that old. Let's jump right in. The books of the Bible are divided into two sections, the Old Testament and the New Testament. The Old Testament has 39 books in Protestant Bibles, 46 books in Catholic Bibles, and 50 books in Orthodox Bibles.
My Bible has 71 books in it because I stuck 5 comic books in the back. Today we'll be reading from the first book of the Green Lantern.
Wait a minute. Why do different Bibles have different numbers of books?
Right, shouldn't they all be the same?
Good question. We need a pirate to answer that question.
We do?
Yep, a pirate who knows a lot about church history.
The story of the great I Am. It shouldn't be such a mystery. From Jesus Christ to Billy Graham, a pirate's guide to church history.
I'm Captain Pete, and this is a Pirate's Guide to Church History. You know about Jesus way back in the beginning, and you know about Billy Graham here in modern times, but what happened in the middle?
What? In the middle? In the middle?
Me and my pirate parrot Reginald.
That's me. That's me.
Yeah, I know. We're here to tell you stories from the middle. So here we go. So why are there different numbers of books in the Catholic and Protestant Old Testaments? For that, we need to go to the year 400 AD and learn about Jerome.
Jerome? Who's he?
I'm getting to that. In 400 AD, a very bright fellow named Jerome attempted to translate the Old Testament from Hebrew to Latin, which was the official language of the church in that day.
Didn't they have an Old Testament already?
They did, but it was made from a Greek translation, so it was like a copy of a copy.
Roger.
I'm Pete. Roger's my brother. The Greek Old Testament they'd been using was called the Septuagint.
Bless you.
No, I didn't sneeze. I said Septuagint. It was the Old Testament used by Jews and Christians who spoke Greek.
All right, I'm with you.
But the Septuagint...
Bless you.
Stop it. The Septuagint also had about 15 extra books of Jewish history and writing that had also been translated from Hebrew to Greek.
Extra books?
Yeah, extra books. That point is important. They were interesting books, but they weren't part of the official Jewish Bible.
When do we get a cookie break?
Not yet. So when Jerome set out to make his new Latin Bible, he included some of the extra books from the Septuagint, with a note that they weren't as important as the official books of the Jewish Bible. When Martin Luther and the other reformers translated the Bible into common languages like German and English, they took those extra books and put them in their own section called the Apocrypha, because they weren't part of the Jewish Bible. Eventually, most Protestant Bibles dropped those books altogether. But some of the books are still in Catholic and Orthodox Bibles, hence the different numbers of books.
Church history is complicated.
It can be. Would you like to hear the story of the British monarchy?
Septuagint! Time for a cookie break.
Wait till the end of the show.
So that's why Catholic and Protestant Old Testaments have different numbers of books.
I didn't know pirates were so smart.
I think he was reading cue cards.
Well, you learn something every day, especially if you're watching my show. Are there different numbers of books in different New Testaments?
Nope. All New Testaments have 27 books. Period.
Oh, good. So we don't have to go back to that pirate again.
I heard that. My talk was highly informative.
Bless you!
I did not sneeze.
Righto. Now, the Old Testament books are divided into 4 sections. The Torah, or Pentateuch, that means 5 books. The historical books, the prophets, and the writings, or wisdom literature. We'll get into all that later. The New Testament also has 4 sections. The Gospels, which tell the story of Jesus. The Acts of the Apostles, which talks about the early days of the church and Paul's missionary trips. The Letters, or Epistles, that's a fancy word that means, letters. And the Revelation to John, the really wild book at the back that talks about the end of the world. Any questions?
I've got a question. Why do they call them testaments? Do they give you fresh breath? Because I licked one and it didn't work.
No, they don't call them testaments. They call them testaments. Can you clue us in, Pastor Paul?
The word testament comes from the Latin word testamentum, meaning oath or covenant. A covenant and an oath are promises, so the word testament means promise.
Thanks, Pastor Paul. So the Bible is split up into 2 sections. One section is called the Old Promise, and the second section is called the New Promise. You know what a promise is, don't ya? It's when you make a commitment, when you say you're gonna do something, no matter what.
So who's making these big promises in the Bible, and what are they promising?
Well, let's see.
The Bible is the story of God and what He's done for us.
So these big promises must be
Promises God has made to us.
Whoa, that's really big. Even bigger than a pony.
I think you're right.
Okay, we're on to something. This is a Bible. A Bible is a collection of books divided into 2 sections. Each section tells the story of a big promise God made, how He kept that promise, and most importantly, what it means to us today, how it helps us understand our world. This book has changed more lives than any other book in history, and these promises, and how they came true back then and still come true today, are the key. So, why did God have to make these promises, and what did He promise? And why should you care? These are the questions we're going to answer as we dive into the very first book of the Bible.
Pat the bunny.
I can't believe you said that.
Good night, moon. Green eggs and ham.
I'm not with him.
No. Good guesses, though. The very first book of the Bible, Genesis.
That was my next guess. Genesis. Clive.
I'll be in the car.